Hey all, good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it may be for wherever you are. I am Stephanie Joy with all things Social Security and the Joy Disability Law Office. Your video is about to start. I wanted to remind you of our live Q&A sessions here on YouTube as well. They start at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's a little earlier for you Western folks. And I look forward to seeing you there. It's a first come, first served basis in terms of the questions you might want to pose in the chat. And I will pick them up going from beginning to end for about a 2-hour period. So anyway, I hope to see you there. Have a great one, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Okay. Balut projects. How hard is it to get SSDI application approved for a veteran who has 100% disability, permanent and total? Incidentally, if you're the veteran, thank you so much for your service. It's like my mantra group of people. Aside from that, it's no less hard almost than anybody else with the same vocational profile. Because remember, you're 100% disability P&T does not necessarily mean you can't do one of the 12,000 jobs. Often that is the case, but the definition itself is not the same. The definition for the 100% disability P&T is not the same as Social Security's definition of disability, nor is it the same for LTD policies and all the other definitions of disability out there that can give people benefits. If someone is 100% disability P&T, they've got severe impairments. I know that from that. So we've met that hurdle. But that is not the final word under SS, right? We use all those veterans records that we can get from the VA, all the medical records, the evaluations, the ratings as well. SSA does not have to find you disabled under their rules based on that, but they have to consider, and we just had a recent new court ruling on this, they have to certainly use all the medical records from there, just like all the other medical records you might have from outside of there. These are potentially my favorite cases. So I need some veterans to know that if you've succeeded in your VA claim, you can be 100% P&T, whatever the case may be. And I know that was probably, potentially quite an endeavor. I've heard it can be really, quite an exercise in patience and frustration and time and all of that stuff. So, I've seen the question where, I'm getting a function report from the SSA because now that I'm doing an SSD claim, and I've already given this kind of information to the VA. Can't they just go look at my file? That is not going to happen. Yes, they will get your file, but the questions with VA are not going to be the same as the function report. And the laws surrounding what those questions mean, depending on how you answer it, is also going to be different. Because as you probably know, the level of disability for SSD, for Social Security disability, or SSI, but usually in this kind of case with the veterans, we're talking about SSD, right? The level of disability is really far more arduous under SSD than under the VA. I would say it's a general rule, particularly because most of the time there is no restriction where you have to prove you can't do any job, and you don't under VA. I mean, I know there's some exceptions, but and under SSD, it really is, you can't work full-time at any job within their rules. And the function report, like, again, I don't know that I've ever seen any kind of function report in a VA file. Not that I look at a lot of VA files per se. I don't handle them. I just use the medical that we're allowed to use for the VA. Now, any statement you made, of course, could be used to reflect your status or your statements about your condition or your symptoms and limitations at the time you made them to the VA, for sure. And that can be helpful because it's historical. You didn't make it up now. And look at 2 years ago, you were saying the same thing, even though your case for SSD might have just started now. So that can be helpful in that regard, but that's not the same function report. That's going to be, function report is very specific. So you definitely cannot get away with not doing it just because you feel like you've answered those questions to the VA. You're answering it to the SSA now. Totally different ball game. And secondly, and this would apply to people who have done a function report and now 8 months later they have to do another one. They're like, I already did one. I'm like, yeah, that addressed your situation then. Because remember, it says, tell us about your situation now. 8 months later, people, by and large, have a different situation. A lot of times the pain is worse, the limitations are more, maybe they rest more. So no matter what you said back in the day, a year ago to your VA doctor or 2 years ago, or on any kind of form or questionnaire, it's presumably could very easily have changed. And honestly, particularly with SSD, I generally want to interrogate my people and be like, come on, something must be, you just said no change. What is the chances that your body has not changed in some way in this 18 months since you last, whatever. And they even have sometimes have new impairments and they're still saying nothing's changed. So, people just aren't thinking it through and really taking the time to think through the question and dig deep. So a new function report is about the current time, not the one you did, not a time period a year ago when you did it before. So anyway, I hope that clears that up. You have to do all the reports that the SSA asks for. You just do. And it's to your benefit. And as a lot of veterans know that have gotten denied in the SSA process, it's a whole different animal. The definition of being disabled is different, in my opinion, is usually, by and large, much more vigorous a standard, higher threshold of disability. The difference is it doesn't have to be service connected, right? You don't have to have a service connected anything to get SSD. They don't care what caused the problem. They care if you are disabled or not. So it's what your functional limitations are now, today, and at any time that you are claiming that you are disabled under the SS rules. Okay. So anyway, get that function report done. And if you don't have a representative, you probably should consider getting one. So I think you just decrease your chances of not prevailing. Obviously, you don't eliminate them because there's too many wild cards, but the chance of prevailing earlier, and in fact, I just got notice of a win on initial, so I'm thrilled. And I messaged my guy, and I'm not sure if he's going to get it anytime soon because I think he might be indisposed at the moment, but hopefully he will. And yeah, so not to tout the horn of representatives, but if you have one that does this a lot, has been doing it a while, and does it exclusively, and you're not like the redheaded stepchild of a case because it's SSD when they have, a $250,000 personal injury case out there, you probably don't want those guys, in my opinion. Get some help. Make sure your answers, and I would say definitely for the work history report as well. That one is particularly for the over 50 crowd, critical, critical, critical. It's very critical that you be very precise. And there are things that I see it all the time, people leave out because they're not thinking about that when they're thinking about their job duties. But it's stuff they did. And it can be a clincher. So, all right. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye. So you just saw a little clip from one of our live Q&As. It might leave you more questions, particularly if you had a little piece of that applied to you and some more facts that would make things different. If you do, feel free to put a comment down below about the extra details, and we could maybe even make a video on the particular aspects of that you'd be interested in. So in any event, I hope to see you on Wednesdays, 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also 9:00 a.m. every day, we have a share from the field, so to speak, of things that happen in our workday. So hope to see you then, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.